and I'll bring the conventional ones to the middle so we don't get confused. Innovative organic nurseries. They're growing out these organic starts, and this is a big deal because the strawberry industry, even the organic strawberry industry, has been planting conventional starts for years and years and years, and so this is a great. It's great that somebody is actually trying to grow strawberry starts organically, and but it really requires growers to prioritize buying organic starts. It's not required for them to do that, so people have to want to do it.
What's the price difference?
Huh?
What's the price difference?
So the conventional ones are 17 cents a piece versus 33 cents a piece. So it's, about twice as much to buy the organic starts. And people also, strawberries have so many disease issues. Like in particular, verticillium is the pathogen that most strawberry growers are concerned with. So organic growers are oftentimes really concerned with starting out with plants that are disease-free, because these plants are going to sit in the ground for so long, and the potential for them to develop disease issues over the course of that year, if they can start out just by knowing that their plants are disease-free, which I think is why it's been harder for them to kind of get on the organic start bandwagon. There are plenty of organic growers who obviously think it's important to support this. But then, there are other ones who are not necessarily in organics for the philosophy, but maybe for the money, who are more concerned with having a healthy plant throughout the season. I think you can have both, a healthy plant and use organic starts, but it does take good management practices. Okay, so for planting, there is a couple lines of drip down the center of the bed. Try to avoid that when you're planting. You can start planting at the pink flags here. And what you're going to do is actually just eyeball a line down the center of the bed. There's no marker for you. There's no dibble holes. There's just an eyeball. So, and then usually what I'll do is so the peg roots are the important roots that are carrying the carbohydrate for the growth of the plant. These secondary roots are less important. Sometimes I'll actually just pull off the very bottom, so if they're hanging really far down. You're going to place the start on the bed top. The bottom, or you're going to place the tool where you would like. You have a question?
I have a couple questions.
Okay.
One, do you know where the drip tape is?
You'll know as soon as you start pressing down.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's pretty, so I can kind of feel the drip tape in here, so I'm trying to kind of push it to the side of the drip tape, but still somewhat in the center. Okay. And then if you poke through, with this you'll poke through the plastic first. If you feel a lot of resistance, it's probably because the piece of drip tape is right there. You can just stick your finger in there and push the drip tape aside, and that's fine. So you're gonna wanna probably, I would say about 2/3 down from the crown is where you're gonna place this tool. So about there. And then you're just gonna press into the plastic, and it will push that start in, just like that. Pull out the tool. If I had met resistance, I would have pushed that piece of drip tape aside. So now at this point, the important thing, and I'll show you, I'm gonna pinch it in a little bit. This is not, in this particular spot, the plastic is up above the crown. That's not gonna typically be the case. It'll be more, at the first couple, it seems to be the issue. But I'm gonna just do one in the bare soil so you can see what we're looking for. Okay, so 2/3 down is about here. I'm pushing it into the soil, hauling out the tool, pinching the soil around. So what do I want? I want to see this growth tip. I don't want to bury the growth tip. If I bury the growth tip, then it's probably going to rot in the soil and the whole thing is going to die rather than grow. If I were to not put it deep enough and I saw these die out and again not survive. So you just need to, it's like transplanting anything. There's that sweet spot. So it's above the root system. You always want to bury the roots of almost anything that you plant, but then you don't want to bury the growth tip. So that's where the soil line should be. And these beds have a good amount of moisture, so it really shouldn't be too hard to get that in.
Does the moisture condensation from plastic promote powdery mildew?
We don't really see a lot of powdery mildew on strawberries. It's not a problem. Yeah. Yeah.
I guess those fishing line thing those are not for the lines. Those are for crows, right?
Crows.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. So
That's what I-
last year we planted
Good.
the entire strawberry field, and then probably a third of them got pulled out by crows, the same way that they pulled out the transplants down there in the hay barn. So this is our new system for deterring them. Is they land on the bed and to pull the plant out, and then they get tripped up by this, and it freaks them out and they fly away.
Yeah.
So we're hoping it's going to work.
Why do we use green plastic over black plastic, or is that the convention?
It does, yeah. So the black plastic is just going to heat the soil up more. So I think it's just in this particular, and I think we just got this from the researchers.
Okay.
They did the research. But I guess it's all just about what are the optimal soil temperatures for growing strawberries.
Okay.
The black plastic heats up the soil a little more in this particular location. It all depends on where you are.
Right.
Do you want the black plastic because it's a little bit cooler where
Okay.
you are? Like maybe down closer to the water, you'd be more likely to have the black plastic, so you heat up the soil. If you're somewhere where it's hotter, maybe you'll even have, there's white plastic that will actually reflect rather than absorb. And so this is kind of somewhere in between, where it's not super cool, but it's not super hot. And so this is like, yeah,
Okay.
in between.
Cool.
I'm gonna plant a few more, just so you can watch me. So this is 8 inches. So this is the distance that we want our plants from each other. So you're gonna go like that. Then place your next plant. Do a little pinch around that crown and check that it's in the right spot. If you have what we refer to as J-rooting happen, it's okay. So people sometimes are concerned if they see their root system kind of poking up a little bit like that. It's okay. Most of these feeder roots are just gonna, they're not gonna survive this process anyway. So I don't love to see tons of J-rooting, but if you do see it, it's not a big deal. So I'm measuring 2/3, push in, check it, move on. And then you're just really trying to go, I'm not actually that good at eyeballing a straight line. Hopefully you're better than me. And then you're also avoiding that tape. So,
And we're trying to get it like in the middle of the 2 lines out there.
no, you're just, don't worry about where the drip tape
Okay.
is. Just try to get it down the center of the
Okay.
bed.
Cool.
And move the drip tape if you need to.
Okay.
If it's in the way.
Cool.
Yeah.
Another question.
Yeah.
So because they are transplants, but they seem to be like way hardier than just your average transplant. The roots don't care as much, I'm assuming. I don't know. Usually, like it seems fragile when you take out other plants, and the roots are exposed.
Yeah, I mean, certain plants, certain vegetables or fruits can be bare rooted, and it's because they're. I mean, it has to do with just the structure of the plant and how hardy the leaves are, and the fact that they are basically perennials. So they are not. Yeah, they're just the leaves aren't tender and the root systems aren't tender. They're fairly hardy, and so they can survive this. Fruit trees can be bare rooted. Onions can be bare rooted. Broccoli can't. Lettuce can't really survive that. The root systems are just too fragile and not vigorous.